The use of money power seems visible everywhere in these Lok Sabha elections. To talk more on this, I have with me the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, Navin Chawla. Welcome to NDTV. A very important set of data has been released by Election Commission, which seems unprecedented in the history of Lok Sabha elections, that more than 12,000 crore worth of seizures in the form of different forms of inducements have been made by EC and enforcement agencies. Now, we do know that Constitution talks about a level playing field, giving equal opportunity. You have managed election commission. You've seen and dealt with these issues personally. How serious and how big is this number, 12,000 crore?
Well, it seems a bigger number than I have ever come across. But it's also conditional on not just bullion, rupees, and so on, but there have been very large drug seizures this time. Now, to put a value on drugs, as you know, is not easy. But I believe the drug seizures this time have been more than ever before. Now, you have to be lucky with seizures. You know, we have almost 2,000, I think this time, 2,100 observers in the field. And people are vigilant. There's another aspect that the opponent is often the one who complains against the candidate and points the way to the seizures. So while I don't I can't easily put a number, I can say that 2,100 observers drawn in from central government joint secretaries that we've had in election after election, and this time we have state elections too, may not be surprising.
Okay.
May
So you
not be
believe that
surprising.
the increase in vigil, the fact that the existing norms and regulations are being strictly enforced, so that is now showing in the seizures that are being made.
I think so. And also, there are two other aspects. I could put it to you as a question. Is there more money floating around this time than there was before? Yeah, you know, for previous elections also there's been money, and unfortunately our elections are guided by money power and muscle power. That's our great misfortune. So if you have more money floating around this time, whether it's through electoral bonds or any other means, then it's very difficult to put a finger on that also. Very difficult to tell.
The seizure of drugs, you said that this is very worrying. I was looking at the data. There are two sets of data that have been released. In January and February, the total seizures around 7,502 crores, and the majority of that seizure relates to seizure of drugs. The second phase, 1st March to 13th April, around 4,658 crores. Again, 45% of that is in the form of drugs. Does it reflect also the fact that drugs itself are becoming a menace in our society, and these numbers just show a reflection of how serious this problem is?
And not, yes, it is a menace in our society, but it's not only in our society, because these drugs have a way of traveling. They will travel through the Middle East and onto the Mediterranean and in the US, and there are huge markets everywhere. So India, Nepal, India, often just transit points. But when it comes to elections, there is a way of collecting in those countries. And it's not just India. I've seen these phenomenon growing elsewhere also. But I come back, if I may, to you, Himanshu, the fact that whether it's 8,000 crores or by the time we finish with the elections, it may be a figure much larger, maybe double. We are talking about money power. So how can we have a level playing field? I came across a Yale study, which is in my book, Every Vote Counts, that if you combine criminality of a major nature with money power, then the chances of your winning a seat go up by 23%. Now, whether it goes up by 23% or not, the fact is that you get a huge advantage. Now, why the muscle power? The muscle power is also, and I wish the judiciary would listen to this, is that the criminal justice system in our country has broken down. Himanshu, you go all over the country. I mean, I am a sort of Delhi bird, but you're going all over UP, Bihar, and other places. When a dispute has to be settled, if somebody takes it to the court, it will lie in the court for years. You have to pay lawyers, and still your local MP, whom you voted in because of these disqualifications, as it were, bails you out. So whether it's a land dispute or a matrimonial dispute or family dispute, uh, the local uh, the local dada criminal multimillionaire is the person you're going to turn to in rural India. That is unfortunately the sad reality, that we don't have a judicial service that works. In Delhi, you can have a case going on for 20 years. Forget going anywhere else in the country.
That takes me to the next question of the level playing field. Now, the Representation of People's Act is very clear that there should be a level playing field. But when you see such kind of rich people contesting in the second phase, for instance, data released shows that the candidate who is the richest candidate, the Congress candidate in Mandya, has declared assets worth 622 crores. The second richest person is also close to 593 crore. The third is close to 279 crore. So how does that affect the level playing field in elections?
You know, it does. But may I go back to my own experiences, because I was the chief who did the 2009 election. Now, I had given very clear instructions that to observe a level playing field, every single observer and every single returning officer and the bandobast in the whole country must listen to the opposition of that state. The opposition would vary from one party to another, or the individual independent candidate who has no party behind him. So my thing was, please listen to them. I want a weekly report from you from what they are saying. Because if you don't listen to them, we won't be able to have a level playing field. Because the ruling party at the center or the ruling party in the state is always happy. It's always the person in the opposition or the opposition party or the independent who is the one who would like the field to be leveled. And I said, if we don't listen to them, then we cannot level the field. And the reason that 2009 election resulted in all the world leaders, you know, whether it was President Obama, everybody congratulating India, was because we had achieved a level playing field in spite of money power.
In fact, and the last question to you is about what needs to be done if the use of drugs as a form of inducement to lure the voter in an illegal way is increasing. Then what is your advice to the Election Commission of India? Because as you said, around 6 more weeks are still left for the elections, and the numbers, of course, there are fears it will increase far more. What is your advice to Election Commission about the new forms of inducements that have come and how dangerous they are for our democracy?
I think those instructions have already gone out, which is why you see these kind of figures coming in, and it'll increase dramatically before we come to the end. But my thing to the Election Commission, my advice, if I may give it, I'm nobody to give advice to the Election Commission now, but it's this: listen to the lone voice. Listen to the opposition in that state. It could be BJP, it could be Congress, it could be NCP, it could be anybody. But listen to the opposition voices, because they are still trying to reach you in every phase. Listen to them, and if you can settle their grievances or understand them, then we've come closer to a level playing field.
Thank you very much for talking to NDTV. So in Delhi, with my camera colleague Gauri Prasad, Himanshu Shekhar for NDTV.